Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're back on GT Sport and we're back with a daily race C track guide. It's a very brief track guide. We're not going to go too in depth on this one, just point out a few basic brake markers, etc., and a strategy guide for the 8-lap race that is on the daily race C in the Group 4 cars. So as you can see on the replay now of the hot lap that I did, I've done this with the Honda NSX. I don't think it's particularly the strongest car in terms of its hot lapping pace. I've managed to put it into the top 10 stars. But the benefit of this car is it's a very good race car. We all know about its extreme fuel saving ability, and it's an extremely kind car on the tyres, and that really just instantly makes it a better car than I've seen a lot of people doing the time trial with the Audi TT, which is not the car you want to be using for the race. This car, the Audi TT, is a front wheel drive car. It is going to kill its tyres, and it's not particularly great on the fuel either, so I wouldn't recommend that car, and that's why I'm going to go through this guide with you and try and help my subscribers out in terms of getting them the best results for this race that's on today, for the rest of the week, should I say. Obviously the daily race B is not a combination that I will be doing. It's oval based, so it's a week of ovals. We were dreading this situation when this would happen, and it's come this week, and a little bit disappointed with that one. And I think there was I mean, obviously there are people that would like that. I would have put it as a daily race A option and then had the daily race B as something a little bit more exciting, but that's what we've got. So we're going to go through to the very quick track guide. Driving Honda NSX, like I say, a car I've never ever driven, so I'm still learning this car. I don't know its full strengths in terms of how to short shift it and stuff, and where the the power band and stuff like that is in terms of getting the most out of it in the race. So I've just done a very quick race and tried to see what happens with it, and we're going to go through the track guide anyways to start with. So for the hot lap, you can see my lap before this was a 2:04.8. Not particularly great. I didn't spend too long on this. There's more time available than the lap I did now. But going into turn 1, you're going to be looking for the 100 board just above your head. You're going to brake just past that. You can see brake going on there, just past 100, down into third gear. I like to stay in third gear in the NSX, very similar to the SLS. Maintain stability then as you turn it in. A little bit behind the ghost there, but I kind of wanted that because it made me go through this corner a little bit tighter. Could stay in second gear, get on the power a little bit earlier, and then carry more speed out of that corner. You see a nice smooth exit from the corner. Obviously for the daily race C, you can push the limits a little bit further than the FIA settings, so running wide out, nearly out the white line on the right side, but just about staying in it. Nice and tight to the apex on that curb, down into third gear, and just try and skim the apex of this curb. You really want to clip it nicely there, then on the power as early as you physically can to make sure that your speed is really good going down the straight. I actually did that pretty much perfect like you would in an FIA as well. That would be, I don't think there'd be any penalty for FIA there. It was done quite nicely. Then into the next braking zone, just as the curb ends on the left hand side there, that is my braking reference, down into third gear. Hug this curb on the right hand side as much as possible. I slightly missed the apex there. You could see I missed it by about half a foot, and you're going to see the ghost appear on my right hand side there. That's where I lost a bit of time. I lost about a tenth or more just on that one corner. Down into fourth gear for this next corner. Just as you see the white of the curb appear, that's when I chuck it in and down into fourth gear. And carrying maximum speed through this section, you don't need to lift. You just got to make sure you're very smooth with your inputs and try and get the lines perfect all the way through them corners, or you will understeer quite a bit and run the risk of running off the track. Then going into the next braking zone, we're going to be looking for the 50 board above our heads. I'm going to brake fractionally short of that 50 board. You're going to see there, just short of the 50 board, down into third gear, keep it in a straight line with the braking, and then chuck it in quite late. This squares the corner off and enables you to carry more speed through the corner, and then you can accelerate up this hill with even more speed. You can see the ghost there, because I squared it off better, the ghost is starting to fall back from me, and I started to gain a bit of time at this point of the lap. Then going through this flat out corner, no lifting needed, all the way into this right hand, fast right hand flowing corner, braking just before the 50, you see there, just before that 50 board on the left hand side, down into fourth gear and then third gear, and then try and skim the apex of that curb and let it run out wide while getting on the power. Early upshift into fourth, then back down to third gear and try and take it very tight to this apex on the curb, and see how the right hand tyre skims the apex of the curb. I'm still on the power, use the curb on the left hand side, and then let the car just accelerate all the way to the final corner into fifth gear briefly before going back down to fourth gear before the end of the curb on the right hand side, chucking it in and using some of the curb on the left hand side, and get on that power as early as possible, and that will maintain your speed all the way to the finishing line. And we go over the line on a 2:04.4, I think it is. Not a perfect lap. There's I think this NSX would be possible to get it down to a 204 flat, maybe into a 203. I think the Megane is also an alternative choice for this track, but I wanted to try something different. I'm just a bit bored of using the Megane in these Group 4 races from the past. I know it's very strong still at this track, but I wanted to try the NSX, a car I've never driven. So, for the race, starting in P1 with the Honda NSX, grid made up of pretty much all TT Cups for this race. Really surprised about that. I mean, it's a front-wheel drive car. It baffled me why everyone was in that car, but that's how the grid looks. I'm in the NSX. Now, the strategy call is going to be obviously a no-stop strategy in the NSX. And I'm going to try and obviously point out some things you can do to help you out with the no-stop strategy. It's 8 laps. It's a higher rate of fuel than what was in the FIA top split, top 24 race, which was 14 laps. So I've got to do an extra lap with ×2 more fuel. I got very close to running. I think I only had about 8% fuel in the SLS after 7 laps. But this is, I've got to do an extra lap, and I've got to, I've got an extra, I think it was on ×8 fuel, I think this race is on, whereas the FIA race was only on ×6. So this is going to really show you how overpowered the NSX is with its fuel, really. But that's why I wanted to try it out, to see just how good it was with the fuel. And it's quite strong with the fuel. I was quite surprised just how strong this car is with the fuel. You're going to see at the moment doing just pretty much the short shifting that I was doing with the SLS when I did the race, just halfway shifting. I don't know the best way to drive this car fully yet. This is my first ever race in this car, but I just wanted to give you, the strategy calls for this race. I think it looks like a no-stop strategy from the first race that I've done. I can't see, it might be possible to do a one-stop strategy with a car like with this car or another fast car and make it work, but I think the no-stop's the safest way to do it. Just obviously saving fuel and driving it clean. You can see keeping the shifting down very low. You can see myself trying to break the slipstream there. I've got a Audi TT behind me, fairly close. He's obviously not gonna, at this point I don't really know what strategy he's on, but I found it very hard to believe that the Audi would be able to go on a no-stop strategy, because this track is quite bad on tyres anyway, and the Audi's one of the worst cars on its tyres. It's front-wheel drive, it's going to kill them tyres, so not much chance of that car really getting to the end. Well, at least that's what I thought. I didn't expect him to be able to make it to the end, and obviously with the fuel as well. You can see using Mixture 2 through these final corners. Now, Mixture 2 isn't going to slow you down too much through corners like that. It's just going to save a fraction of, a little bit more fuel than Mixture 1, and it's going to keep reasonable speed through them fast corners. So you could even do it for this final corner here, but I just kept it in 1 because I was looking at the fuel thing. I could see I've obviously need to do some more extreme fuel saving than what I've done so far, but the way the fuel works on this game is the lighter the car gets, the better the fuel consumption gets. So you've got to take that into consideration when looking at your fuel that's left. Also, looks like I'm able to cover this guy off behind me anyway. He's not really able to get close enough to me, and the situation is going to get harder for him as the laps go on, because the NSX, as I found out in this race, its tyre wear is extremely good. I think it's way better than the SLS for sure, because it maintains a lot stronger front end than the SLS, and it doesn't really lose traction on the rear. It's probably one of the easier Group 4 cars to drive also from this very brief test that I've done on it. I'm actually really impressed with this NSX. I won't be using it in the FIA for this next season. It's just an exhibition season that's going to be on for a month by the looks of it. I'm guessing what's going to be coming up now is pretty much up until the end of 2019. I think it's going to be a lot of testing again. It looks like they're testing new stuff within the FIA season already by the looks of it, because they're allowing medium tyres in with hard tyres, and they've increased the tyre wear drastically, which it kind of seems a bit daft, because it's going to the ×13 tyre wear that's on at the Red Bull Ring will kill the medium tyres very fast. But it'll be interesting to see just how long they'll last in medium tyres with ×13. It's going to make obviously qualifying different, because we're going to be on the medium tyres, and it's going to probably add some strategy. Will some people think they can just do the race, all the race on the medium tyre, or on the hard tyre, or will some people like split it either way? Start on hard, go to the the medium, or start on the medium and then go to hard. It's going to add some strategy to the races, because especially the fuel is not going to be an issue in that race. I don't think it's on ×3. I think that'll be pretty much enough fuel to get to the end of the race without doing too much fuel saving as well at the Red Bull Ring. So that'll be interesting. But getting back to this race, you can see keeping the short shifting going, using the mixture 2 through some of the corners. That's going to help with the traction as well. Obviously not kicking the rear out and putting too much power through the rear, and it's going to help preserve the life of them tyres for these 8 laps. So coming to the start of lap 3, you can see still behind me in that Audi TT. I've got another Audi TT as well, putting him under pressure, which is kind of beneficial for me. And at this point now, this is where the tyre wear is going to start becoming a little bit of an issue for the Audi. I think I'd say at the end of lap 3 is when the tyre wear is going to become a point where it's going to start losing time to the NSX, because the NSX is still driving fine. It's driving as if there is no tyre wear on it pretty much. There is no real issue with understeer, there's no issue with oversteer. As you can see, I think the P3 driver in the Audi TT actually made a mistake behind. You can just see it in the mirror. Pulled off, I think he braked too late, clipped the edge of the track like we've seen Zocchi do in the top 24 race. A really easy mistake to make, and he's gone off there. And now it's just pretty much a two car battle this for the win in this race by the looks of it, because there's quite a big gap to the next train of cars. You can see obviously not the highest rated lobby. There was A drivers, an A plus driver. I was the only SS driver, but SS doesn't really mean much anyway, because you could technically be a B rated driver and be S rated because of the system that they use and what car you use. But it's not the highest rated lobby. These daily races don't seem to be very competitive at the moment. Obviously I did this fairly early in the day because I wanted to get this video out just to give some strategy calls on this, but the daily race lobbies don't seem that not like they used to definitely be more competitive than what they are now. I'm finding it when I see people streaming the game, they just don't seem to be what they used to be. I think people are just doing the FIA races for their competitive, the top drivers are pretty much sticking to the FIA races and not really going too much into the daily races. But I want to obviously do daily races because for the content, and obviously I still want to race. It gets a bit boring just doing 4 races, two FIA races Wednesday, 2 FIA races Saturday. So I still will be doing some of these daily races now, probably more so now that the official FIA season's over, and the top 24 race will be out tomorrow. It was a bit disappointing. I didn't do the video on Sunday because I just wanted to have a day off from the game, a day off from doing anything to do with PS4, and then come back on. Obviously I've got the footage there to edit, and I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's going to take a little bit longer, and I wanted to get this one out first anyway, because obviously the first day of the week, Monday, change of tracks. I wanted to give everyone a head start on the strategy so you can see what strategy is best. You can go straight into the race tonight without losing any driver rating because you're on the wrong strategy in the wrong car. I mean, straight away you can see that Audi TT already now starting lap 4 is starting to suffer. He's just hanging on to nearly picking up the slipstream, but he's out of it at the moment, and now I can just concentrate on fuel saving because it's not really an issue. I know that Audi's got no chance of going to the end. He's struggling with front end grip on the Audi, which is always going to be a case. We saw Tidgeny at this track having the same issues in his front wheel drive car. It just understeers, and that's why it baffles me that so many drivers were picking the Audi TT to race this track in, because it's not a good race car. It might be good for hot lapping, but with tyre wear on, you don't want to be using that car. One tip as well there, you see, going towards the end of the straight, putting your fuel mixture up into level 3 or 4 towards the end of the straight. That just saves a little bit of fuel, and it also only loses a couple of miles per hour by the time you get to the end of the straight. It's not going to lose you a massive amount because you've done most of your acceleration with mixture 1. So just upping it to level 2 or 3 at the end of the straights is another way to just save a bit more fuel. You see again to level 2 there, and then going into these final few corners. Level 2, the mixture 2 is not really going to lose you any sort of time at all. It's just going to keep the car nice and smooth, keep it on the track, and I think this is the best way to do this race, to be fair. I think it's the safest way to do it. You're going to make less mistakes because you're not driving flat out. You're keeping the car smooth, using mixture 2, and just short shifting. It's so much easier to drive. You can see now he's really struggling in P2. You can see the understeer. I can see every time we get to the corners he's really understeering, but then on the straights he's gaining a bit, so that made me think straight away he is not going to be doing the no stop strategy, because if he's accelerating that hard he's using up his fuel. So we'll see what lap he goes to, and it really baffled me that if you're going to do if you're going to race the Audi TT Cup here, you can't afford to really go 1 lap extra. You've got to split it down the middle, because the front wheel drive cars are so bad on tyres. if you want to use the Audi TT and you like that car, I recommend pitting on lap 4. Do not do the overcut or undercut, because the tyres are so weak on that car. You want to keep them as equal as possible on both stints. So I don't really understand, to be fair, why you'd go either way, but some people obviously, I don't know whether he thought I was on the same strategy as him. Maybe he thought that I'd be pitting. Obviously I knew at this stage that there was no way I was going to pit in this race, because I know the NSX is strong on fuel, so I wanted to try it out. You see, building that gap up now to 1.8 seconds nearly. He's going to obviously gain when we get to the straights, because I'm just doing some, obviously a lot of short shifting to try and get that fuel back, and then again to that mixture 6 as we come to the end of the straight. You see, going down and still getting to nearly 150 miles per hour, so not losing a massive amount of time. And then because the tyres are starting to go off a bit now, it enables you to get that braking spot a little bit easier, because you're going 3-4 miles per hour slower, and that enables you then to brake pretty much exactly where you would if you had completely fresh tyres and you were going maximum attack. It's not much difference in terms of your braking points, so it's just a lot easier to be consistent with, I find, when you get to the braking points if you do that, and it saves quite a bit of fuel. It's one strategy that I found out quite a while ago from Bathurst in the Group 3 cars, when the Corvette was able to do the track without pitting, and that was one of the things that a lot of the drivers at the front were doing. I got told by Pom Pom Q that's what he was doing, and he told me that, so then I knew that's one way to do it for saving fuel, and it does work. As you can see now, the driver behind decides to pit at the end of lap 5, so a strange strategy for a front wheel drive car to do, to try and extend the stint like that. You're just going to lose so much time, because that 5th lap he was probably about 2-3 seconds slower than what he would be on a fresh set of tyres, so he's just probably thrown away a few pits by doing that. So we're going to now jump on to the end of lap 7 now, and this is the interesting part now. I'm going to go over the line now with 14% fuel in the NSX. You can see the lap times have been kept reasonably consistent. Obviously I've had to do quite a lot of short shifting and stuff, but even with times 8 fuel compared to times 6 in the FIA, I've got more fuel in the NSX than I did in the SLS, and this is why the NSX is so strong in the Group 4 cars for FIA races, where the one stop is ideal, and the longer races you're gaining so much in the pits. That amount of fuel, if this was on the same amount of fuel as the FIA settings, I would have been going in the pits with like 30-35% fuel compared to like 7, or well, I'd say about 25% fuel, 27% fuel, compared to where in the SLS I was going in with like 8 or 9%, and that's worth like 5 to 7, maybe even 8 seconds worth of time in the pits. It's so much time that you sat in the pits when you're fueling, but you don't realise, but it just gains you so much time, and that's why this NSX is very strong, and you'll see it doing very well in the FIA races, because its fuel is so strong. And that's why you see a lot of drivers not worrying about being like P7 or 8 or something like that, because they know that they can then fill up more in the pits and drive it to its potential, gain time in the pits. They get themselves up to get out of the traffic, and then they can drive aggressive on the last stint. So a very strong car for FIA, and this just shows you how good it is, really, that it's able to do a one stop for 8 laps with a high rate of fuel. As now coming to the end of this lap, able to push a little bit harder in this lap, because I'd actually done a little bit more fuel saving than I actually needed to do for the race, so it's fairly comfortable with the fuel saving. As long as you keep the short shift. You can see I'm actually revving out in this last lap just to try and keep the laps in the 208s. I didn't want to drop off any more than that, because I think if it got worse than that, it'd start being a little bit close to whether a stop would be faster. I think you could do a stop, and the lap times are going to be probably late 205s, mid to late 205s, and then low 206s if you're going to do a stop. I think with the way this has obviously got a higher rated tyre than the FIA settings did, so I think that would be how it would be doing. So it's over 8 laps. I think this is still the fastest way to do it for me personally, I think. But we'll also try out I think I'm going to try out the way of doing it with a stop. I might try a different car. I could try it with the Megane maybe, or go flat out with the Megane and seeing what that's like, pitting, putting some fuel in if needed, and obviously changing the tyres and seeing how that compares to the NSX doing no stop. That's one way I could do it, but I think that's for me at the moment is a very strong strategy, and that's what I'm going to give out for the advice now, is a no-stop strategy with the NSX, and it should serve you very well in terms of building your DR up. Anyway, I hope that video is helpful, and first advice, do not use the TT Cup or any front-wheel drive car for this race. It's not a good idea at all. Anyway, thanks again for watching this video. We're going to be back with the FIA Top 24 race from last Saturday that will be uploaded tomorrow. Not the best race for myself, but I'm going to get that edited through and get that out tomorrow for everyone to watch. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. Make sure you hit the notification button so you don't miss any future videos, and I'll see you all very soon. Thanks again for watching, everyone.